bringing metal to the masses. OnslaughtRadio.com.
This is Onslaught Radio. I'm Natalie, and I'm backstage at the O2 Academy, Islington, where I'm talking to Aid from Darkest Era. Hi, how's it going?
I'm pretty good, Natalie. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. And you guys have just performed here in London. How was it for you?
It was awesome, yeah. I mean, the crowd reaction was fantastic. Weren't really sure what to expect, just because, you know, sometimes, well, we heard that sometimes London crowds can be a little bit more standoffish, but definitely not tonight. Like, they were just amazing, and we had a great time. So yeah, really positive.
And you guys have had a lot of issues sort of today. There's been loads and loads of cancellations on trains and things like that. Was the crowd sort of what you were expecting for this kind of gig?
Yeah, I mean, it was a sold-out show, so it was packed. So that was kind of what we were looking for, you know. They got in nice and early for Sorcerer's Spell, which is cool. And they were like really well warmed up by the time we hit the stage. So yeah, it was cool. They were really enthusiastic. I mean, on this tour, we were kind of not sure if Hailstorm fans would kind of get what we were trying to do, and we weren't really sure how it would work. But like the package has just worked so well, and you know, there's just some element of our music that translates across. So yeah, the crowd were just really good. So it's been awesome.
Because really, with sort of Hailstorm being kind of a Scottish pirate metal band, and then you're kind of described more as being kind of Celtic metal, did you feel that it could almost clash a little bit?
Not well. I mean, it was kind of in the back of our minds, but I mean, I guess, you know, their stuff is kind of based on, you know, sort of folkish rhythms, like, you know, 3/4 and 12/8 rhythms, and a lot of our stuff is in that kind of timing, and it kind of has folkish melodies. So there are similarities actually there when you strip it away back. You know, obviously the overall sound is different, but I mean it's still metal, and it's still, you know, we're both still, like, you know, trying to project a really energetic show and engage with the crowd and just, you know, do what we love doing. So you know, pretty much after the first or second date, that was, you know, not really an issue. We knew it was going to work. So.
Awesome. We have a question from one of our listeners. Matt from Chorley has asked us via Twitter what you sort of how you feel the Irish metal scene is.
Yeah, it's generally really healthy. We've got some really cool bands. Like, I mean, I guess Male Morga would be one of my favourite Irish bands actually, and they're doing really well at the minute. They've got a new record coming out, I think, sometime soon. And then you got, you know, Primordial and Morning Beloved, who've, you know, broken international markets, you know, years ago. So they're great, but it's weird because, you know, definitely in the north of Ireland there's more sort of metalcore and death metal. There's not a lot of straight up heavy metal. So in a sense we kind of stand apart in that regard, because there's just not a lot of bands playing that, you know. But I mean, you know, you get you know, more and more tours stopping by Belfast, Dublin and Cork now, you know, and it is healthy, and there's lots of bands coming through. There could be more bands really, probably, you know, breaking into the international scene, I think, or at least there should be, because there's some really talented acts there, but I don't know what it is sometimes they just don't make that jump. But there's some great acts coming through, so it's sweet.
Obviously, coming from Ireland, did you guys find that it was a little bit difficult to break out there? I mean, coming from somewhere like London, I think bands take it for granted that they are in London and you get to do all these amazing venues sort of around that. And, you know, did you find that there was any difficulty there, or did you just kind of just run at it and go for it? Yeah,
I mean, it's like, you know, I didn't really know any bands in London or anybody from London, so and nothing really to compare it to, you know. So we just thought, well, this is what you got to do, and this is the way it goes. So we kind of, like, you know, had a certain path in our own mind and how we were going to get to where we needed to go, and we just sort of went that way and just worked hard at it, and then it paid off, you know. But I don't know, I mean, I guess there's a slight geographical advantage in the sense that, you know, you've got to get a ferry to go over to the mainland. So if you're doing any tours and stuff like this, for example, there's just added expense. And I guess there's more higher profile support slots up for grabs around the mainland than there would be in Northern Ireland, you know, or the Republic. So maybe a slight disadvantage in that sense, but, you know, like, you've got the internet and Facebook and everything now, so like it's really, like, easier than ever to sort of have your band open to a much wider audience than before. So I think, you know, that's kind of a lame excuse maybe for anybody these days, but it's, you know, it was fine for us.
And you guys have been around for quite a long time, but I believe you had a previous name before. You changed your name.
We were originally called Nemesis when we formed. We were, like, still in school, you know, we were all about 16 or so. The same lineup actually, apart from the drummer, which is unusual, I think, for a lineup to stay together for so long when they started out so young. But we got to a point where it was getting kind of serious, and everyone was sort of feeling really good about what we could potentially do. And we just figured that we had to change the name because there were like roughly, like give or take, about 17,000 bands called Nemesis. Yeah. So I mean, Candlemass were called Nemesis originally before they changed their name. So it was just something that we had to do. We wanted something that was original, but also like reflected the changing tone of the music that we were writing. It was sort of shifting a little bit. So and we would change it to Darkest Era because we felt it represented what we were doing quite well.
And obviously you guys have been around for quite a long time now. What would you say has been kind of your highlight as a band? So that kind of stand-off moment where you're like, yeah, this is it, this is awesome.
There's been a few actually, like which is what we're very grateful for, at different stages in the band's career. I mean, the first time we played a festival in Europe, we did like Fist Held High in Germany with Enforcer and Portrait, and then we did Up the Hammers in Greece, and they were just both incredible shows, and we got great reactions at those. Then when we signed to a small German label for our first EP, which was amazing at that stage as well. And then obviously like signing to Metal Blade Records and getting our first album out, that whole recording experience. And then this tour has just been amazing. It's our first real tour, and it's the shows have been selling out almost every night. So lots of highs, like, and at this stage everyone's feeling really good about just doing what we love and playing in a band, So
I guess as a band, as you're getting bigger and you're kind of hitting those different milestones, it kind of, every new thing becomes sort of the new exciting bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, for example, like we hadn't toured before, so this is like the coolest thing we've done up to this point, or at least it feels like it at the minute, But like we're always looking to push forward and stuff, so we're already, we've got a lot of things that we've yet to achieve and that we want to achieve. So, like a European tour, like a hefty European tour, is definitely something that we're trying to line up. And then like another album is on the cards as well. So we're just like always pushing forward and always trying to grow artistically or whatever, and just sort of push ourselves as far as we can go. So.
And we've got another question from one of our listeners. Patrick from Jersey has asked what your favourite track is to play live.
It's probably the Morrigan, I guess, just because it always seems to whip the crowd into a frenzy. It's kind of like it was the first single off the record. It's not actually my favourite on the record. Probably the title track is my favourite. Just because I just think it's quite a strong song. But yeah, the Morrigan live is always a lot of fun. Like, we've been playing it live for like 3 or 4 years or something, because it was one of the oldest songs that ended up on the album. But it's probably the favourite live, just because of the the crowd interaction and everything.
And finally, what have you guys got planned sort of for the rest of this year now? Once you finish the tour, what are you going on to do?
We're all going to go home to our mothers and quiver for a while and recover from this totally debaucherous wreck. No, it's been awesome. None of us actually want to go home because we just want to stay on the road and do more gigs. But we're going to play a couple of Irish shows with Mail Morgue, actually, who I mentioned earlier. A couple of co-headline shows in Belfast, Dublin. And then we're lining up a few European shows, hopefully. Like I say, we're looking at a European tour at some point, but really we'll be getting into writing quite heavily when we go back. We've sort of, the album's been out almost a year, and we're really thinking about how we can change the sound and how we can move forward and stuff. And we've demoed a few tracks already, so we're hopefully going to record towards the end of the year. So it's going to be busy, but busy's good. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for talking to Onslaught Radio.
Thank you for talking to me. Much appreciated.